For generations, dinosaurs have captured our imagination and our hearts. Their skeletons and footprints gave us clues to how the prehistoric beasts behaved, where they lived, and how they looked. But even the most sophisticated models were just guesses, until now. At the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Western Canada, an entirely new species of beast is giving scientists new insights into the life of dinosaurs and how they looked.
Normally when we find dinosaur skeletons, we have parts of the skeleton. And if we're really lucky, we have most of the skeleton. But we still have to estimate what the animal looked like. We compare it to other specimens, we compare it to animals alive today, and we infer what these animals look like by putting the skin back on, putting the muscles back on.
Dr. Caleb Brown is a paleontologist at the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology, home of many incredible specimens. And now, an extraordinary new discovery. A fossil so pristine and complete that it shows the texture, patterns, and colors of a prehistoric giant.
The nodosaur is the best specimen we have, and it's the closest you'll come, until we find a better one, in terms of coming face to face with a dinosaur. It's one of the best preserved dinosaurs in the world.
The nodosaur is next to surreal. A petrified beast caught by Medusa's gaze. A fossil more spectacular than anyone had anticipated.
We knew it was good, but we didn't know how good it was. I think it's the best preserved armored dinosaur in the world. I'm calling this the Rosetta Stone for armored dinosaurs.
The anatomy of the new species has already given scientists clues to how these animals evolved, how they radiated and diversified through time. And it doesn't stop there.
The skin is preserved. It's not just the impression of the skin. We actually have some of the original biomolecules preserved. One of the cool things that they tell us for this specimen is that the animal had at least a component of reddish-brown pigment to its skin. The coloration aspect is very exciting. So it's cool to know what color it was, or at least one aspect of its color. But it's actually more exciting when that has some implications for how the animal lived.
Researchers now believe the nodosaur was darker on the back and lighter on its sides and underside, a method of camouflage called countershading.
Now keep in mind, this was a 5.5 meter long, 10.5 animal covered in armor, but it still has camouflage. And to us, that just illustrates how intense the predation was back in the Cretaceous. You had these very large meat-eating dinosaurs, and they would have also been very visual predators. So it actually kind of just shows you how extreme that ecosystem likely was back in the Cretaceous.
The immortalized nodosaur was discovered millions of years after it died, entirely by accident. Back in 2011, Sean Funk was working his regular shift at the Suncor Millennium Mine in northern Alberta, Canada.
It was around 1:30 in the afternoon. It was my first day shift, and just digging in this material type here we call K-spec that comes out in slabs like this. And it was sliding down the bank after every scoop, and I just noticed this design, like shape, that was distinctive, uniform, and it just really caught my eye. So I knew it was something out of the usual. Right away I called my supervisor, Mike Gratton, and he came out within about 10 minutes. And then we turned one of the lumps over, and then that's when we really seen this pattern. Right away Mike was like, we got to get this checked out, because it was definitely nothing we'd ever seen before.
Shortly after, Dr. Donald Henderson, curator of dinosaurs at the Royal Tyrrell Museum, was on the ground. He arrived certain that what he would find was a prehistoric marine reptile fossil commonly found in the area.
We're looking at it and I'm thinking, this isn't working as a plesiosaur, because we saw ribs. And how come these bones are so nicely aligned with the osteoderms? And my head was still trying to make it a plesiosaur, but my technician, Darren Tanke, said, what if it's a dinosaur? And then, wow, the whole picture changed.
Donald was surprised because this area had been rich in plesiosaur fossils, marine animals that would have lived in the area in the early Cretaceous period, a time when Alberta used to be covered by a large inland sea. It made no sense that a terrestrial animal would have been found in this same location. A new hypothesis came to life. At some point, the dinosaur would have been washed out to sea.
It would have gone through a process called bloat and float, where as the animal starts to decompose, gases build up within the body cavity, and this would have actually allowed it to sit a bit higher in the water, and that might have actually allowed it to float further out into the ocean. At some point, there would have been some sort of release of gas from the animal, and it sank to the bottom. We think it got buried very quickly, and that layer hardened very quickly, what we call concretion, this very hard rock that would have surrounded the specimen. And basically it sealed it off, separated it from bacteria and scavengers and stuff like that. And that's really the reason why it was so well preserved.
Along with a thick armored skin, it was a perfect storm of conditions that allowed for optimum preservation of soft tissue and the animal's three-dimensional shape.